What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Shiv, and today I want to talk about the Kleber in ranked play. Now, if you go to the forums and you look for any kind of, guides on what to play in ranked, you will notice that the Kleber is generally considered to be a horrible choice. I hate to say this, but they're wrong. Now, it might be a little bit hubris of me to say something of that nature, but hear me out, okay? When you read some of the arguments given for why you should not bring the Kleber, they all are based on a specific build, what I refer to as the Noster method. And that build generally revolves around having a 12 km gun range and basically relying on your torpedoes. Okay, well, here's the problem with that concept when it comes to rank. 12 km range is not good for the Kleber. To be perfectly honest, at about 12 km is kind of this wonky little area to where hitting the Kleber gets a little bit easier. From 12 or less, hitting the Kleber is easier. Above that, hitting it becomes a little bit more difficult. All right. Now, I was a huge fan of the Kaba. I love the Kaba before, they power creeped it and nerfed it and made it kind of meh. I love the style of the Kaba play, the whole flanking maneuvers and so on, which kind of got shut down a lot by CVs, to be perfectly honest. But the Kaba is still a strong ship, and when played correctly, can still do some amazing things as a speed flanker. Now, if you play the Kleber in the similar way, you get a couple advantages over the Kaba. One, you're faster. Two, you have the ability of firing your guns quicker. 3, you have a reload booster. That right there is huge in terms of defense. 4, your torpedoes have better range and acceleration. 5, you're more agile than the Kaba. Now, yes, you don't have smoke, you don't have a heal, and you're pretty much going to have to do a lot of maneuvering in order to mitigate any sort of damage or possibly duck around CVs. Okay, you absolutely are going to have to. But this ship can do some amazing things once you understand what it can do. The guns are powerful enough to cut right through light cruiser armor. Okay, so your Smolensks, your Minotaurs, your Woosters, you can citadel them all day long. If they're hiding in smoke, this is even better for you. You can creep right up on top of them, flood that smoke with your torps, and as they're trying to run to escape, finish them off with your guns and using that reload booster, and you could do some extreme amounts of damage. The AP DPM against, say, a Minotaur in a Kleber at around 5 kilometers is pretty insane with the reload booster, just saying. Alright, now, the other reason you really want to consider this boat is its speed to get to a cap. Alright? You look at the Shimakaze, you look at the gearing, you look at pretty much any other ship that isn't Russian or this one. They're generally slower, which means you're going to be able to get to the cap quicker, which means you're going to already start contesting it. Now, if any of your allies are informed of what you're doing, and you can get at least 1 or 2 of them with you, then that automatically puts you in a much better position to defend that taking and also having support fire with you. Okay? Now, combining all that together will lead to some pretty awesome things. Now, I could keep talking about this subject for about an hour straight, but I think we've talked enough, and I think we need to actually look at what this ship can do in ranked play.
General quarters.
Engine boost activated.
Roger.
force sighted on the horizon. Torpedoes, dead ahead. Torpedoes to starboard. Engine boost deactivated. All stations, reporting the position of a strategic target. Attention. Reporting the target position. Engine boost activated. All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
Enemy cruiser foundered. Our victory is in sight.
Concentrate fire on the designated target. Acknowledged. All stations requesting fire on the designated target. Problem solved, sir.
Enemy cruiser foundered. Our victory is in sight.
Engine boost deactivated.
Our victory is in sight. We've sunk an enemy destroyer. Our victory is in sight.
All right, and that was the gameplay. And not to toot my own horn, but that was actually pretty spectacular. All right, that was absolutely spectacular. Anytime you have a DD that is able to just lay out 11 citadels on a light cruiser that technically should have been able to kick the living shit out of them is an amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing feeling. Now, we played that game pretty tactical throughout that whole thing. We communicated with our team saying, hey, we're going here. All right. And I actually had teammates who were going to follow and support me, and they did it very well. Now, once we took the cap, I flanked around and I started providing a very interesting crossfire and spotting perspective on the enemy team. This allowed our team to continuously deal damage with them and also find advantageous points for them to do their little gimmicks, i.e. shoot through smoke, use terrain, etc., etc. And by this, I'm mostly talking about our Demois and our Minotaur. But you also notice that in that game, we were down 2 ships, all right? Yeah, we had the cap advantage, we had point advantage, but we started losing ships pretty badly. Matter of fact, our gearing, he messed up quite a bit. Like, it looked like he was going after the Shimakaze at one point and then got baited into the Worcester, and the Worcester ended up taking him out. And I felt really kind of about that. I really did. Like, he could have played that way better than he did. But it is what it is. Now, the biggest talking point of that playthrough would be obviously what we did to the Minotaur, okay? Now, if you look at the time it took me to kill it, all right? Once we forced him out of the smoke with our torpedoes, we spent 25 seconds shooting him. And in that time, we did 43,298 damage in 25 seconds. That's like 1,700 and some odd damage per second, okay? That's a lot. That is absolutely a lot of damage. Now, you also notice that we didn't stick with just the HE. We also switched over to the AP because, well, at those distances, you're actually penetrating above 139, okay? And I hate to tell you this, the armor on light cruisers like the Minotaur, like the Smolensk, like the Worcester is pretty crappy when you're up that close with a fast-firing DD. So yes, you could definitely get citadels. And you saw the citadels we were getting there. They were not weak either. We were hitting multiple citadels per salvo, and at some points we were chunking 10k repeatedly and just completely wrecking him and diminishing the fact that he was trying to heal through the attacks. He couldn't do it. He absolutely could not heal through the attacks. Afterwards, we did a lot of range kite fighting against battleships, as well as a Hindenburg, who we ended up killing with fire. Yay, HE. And then we also went and fought the Shimakaze. And you notice the Shimakaze, he didn't shoot his guns, like, hardly at all. I don't think he even shot him once. Did he? Maybe. But not enough to actually make an impact on me. But instead, he took a ton of damage. He had more health than I did. Okay? And his guns technically hit harder than mine do. He could have actually done something if he had used them. But unfortunately, as we've seen with many DD philosophies and bases of logic, that they view shooting guns as to be some sort of horrible thing. Like, they all avoid it. It's like, no, we have torps, and that's all that matters. You guys, you got to get off that mindset. It's never going to work out pretty good for you. Matter of fact, you watch any of the high damage playthroughs, you'll see people in Shimakazes, in Gearings, in Z52s actually using their guns. Okay? They do. I don't know what made you think that using your guns, it was a bad thing, but whoever told you that was full of crap. Alright, now, I could keep talking about that replay for hours because, like I said, it's amazing. Not to be arrogant in any way, shape, or form. Okay, maybe a little. But I wanted to get to the build of the ship, alright? So let's start with the upgrades here. Now, first of all, this is a pretty standard build with a couple exceptions. First of all, we've got the nice little main armaments. It's about the best one you could pick. Now, we opted to take the engine boost modification over any of the others. If you don't want to use the engine boost modification, which I don't know why you wouldn't, then obviously propulsion modification is going to be the way to go. For slot 3, obviously the aiming one is probably the best. You could possibly look at this one, sure, but anything that causes anything to affect your reload is always bad, so I don't do that. Alright, next up we have is the steering gear modification. We already go pretty fast, and we don't really need the propulsion modification too much there. But steering, yeah, that's important. Next up, concealment, because we're a DD. Now, some of you might say, well, you know, if you really want to be more agile, you could take that. Sure, okay, minus 40% to our maneuverability. Okay, so 40% off of this. That's going to come out to 3.8 times 4, which is... well, actually 0.38 times 4, which will basically knock this down to in the 2s, okay, which is not too bad. But for me, I think the concealment is a much better option. Without this, you're at 7.7, which, you know, is pretty close to where your torpedoes are firing. Not good. And of course, we ended up taking the reload booster because, well, yeah, we're going to take the reload booster. Anything we can do to get our rate of fire down makes a lot of sense. All right, the other options for us, okay, the AA gun modification, no. Torpedo tube modification, yeah, no, I don't agree with this. I know some people say this is the way to go. I do not agree with that. Range modification, again, there's an argument for this, but not one that I'm willing to take. And by the way, this will take you up to like 19 kilometer range. And I will tell you right now, 16 is about the bare minimum I'm willing to accept. And the shells do get a little bit floaty as you're approaching that 15 kilometer mark. So at 19, they are just basically breakdancing in the sky, traveling as slow as possible. Okay, so no, it's always going to be the reload modification here. Now, Captain build is a little bit different. Now, I know a lot of you like the Noster build that uses the RPF and a few other things, and that's great and everything. But it's not what I enjoy. Instead, I went with a build that is very, 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 very similar to what I used while playing the Kaaba. And that worked out pretty damn good for me. So I figured, hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So here we go. We took the preventive maintenance because as a DD, this is a huge issue. Losing your engine, losing your steering, losing everything. So this kind of makes that less likely. It still happens, but not nearly as much. You take Adrenaline Rush because, yeah, Adrenaline Rush. We take Last Stand because losing our engine and being stationary is a horrible position for any DD, especially one that relies on speed as its main form of defense. Alright. Take Survivability Expert because life is good. You take BFT because rate of fire matters. You take Concealment Expert because not being seen matters. And of course, you take AFT. Now, some of you might be going, you don't need AFT. You should have taken Inertia Fuse, or you should have taken Radiolocation. I disagree with you on that. That extra bit of range, and as you can see here, that is literally plus 20% range, is huge. Absolutely huge. Okay? This right here allows the ship to be multifunctional. It's almost a Swiss Army knife of ships, okay? I can go in there, I can knife fight, no problem. I can go and I could be a range harasser, no problem, okay? I can rush into the caps. I can do so many different distinct play styles with this ship. I could be a kiter, no problem. All right? By having that extra range, it opens up possibilities for play in this ship. Because the one thing I have learned about this game is you have to be adaptable to the situation. And the situation will always change. Well, if you're constantly being hampered by certain things, then that's always going to limit your options of play. By taking that range, I am removing some of those limitations from that play style. Not to mention the fact it allows me to, well, be a little bit more reckless, a little bit more aggressive, and also to draw my enemy's attention to other points and keep them off balance, keep their footing in the wrong direction. All right, even if I could draw their fire away from my team and I can duck out 90% of it, then that has done an immense amount of good for the team play in ranked. Not to mention the fact that speed plus being able to wrap around to the backside of the enemies can do some monstrous, deadly things. Vision is a very crucial thing to this game, guys. All right? So if you don't have a CV, or even if you have a CV, having a constant sight on the enemy will pay out dividends for your team. Well, anyway, guys, that's going to be all for this video. Alright, so thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, please like. And you know what? If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really does help. Till next time, this is Shiv saying, stay safe, have fun. May our Jesus bless you.